The following production is brought to you by the Talkin' Buds Leaf Show.
Here we go. Talkin' Buds Leaf Show, episode 308. Episode 1 of season 8. Hope everybody had a nice summer. Ryan, I would ask you if you had a nice summer, but I saw you pretty much every weekend throughout the summer. So I know for a fact you had a nice summer, played a lot of golf. Yep. I do have one question for you. When we signed off, the last episode we did was on July 1st, where we talked about free agency and the Marner trade and all that stuff. When we signed off after that, did you think that we would go basically 2 months without doing an episode? It was a pretty quiet off season around the National Hockey League. I thought for sure something might happen and we'd have to jump on and do an emergency summer episode. That was not the case.
No, everyone got their business done early. And based on the Leafs cap situation after making those moves, I didn't think we were going to hop back on because now they don't have any more cap space. So, yeah.
So this is the earliest we've come back. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. If you're one of our longtime listeners, good to see you again. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button below. Follow us on our socials. Links to those are also below. We're going to be here once a week until training camp opens, and then we will be back to our regular 2-a-week schedule. I mean, there's only one place to start today, Ryan, and that is with one Mitch Marner, who sat down with Mark Masters last week in what I would call an explosive interview. Would you say that's accurate?
I said it was an insane sit down. It was something. I
don't think we need to read quotes from it. It came out late last week. By this point, if you're watching this video and listening to us, you know exactly what happened and what was said. So we've had a few days to sit on it, think about it, prepare our feelings. And I just keep coming back to this. If you don't believe that getting this guy out of the organization is what's best for the Leafs and for Mitch Marner, I don't know what to tell you anymore. Like, it's as simple as that. This is a situation in which everybody needs to move on. And in fairness to us, the Leaf fans, and to the Leaf organization, we had moved on. He was the one that is still out there talking about the Leafs and the fans in the media. So I don't know how you can argue. I know someone will argue because of the regular season performer that he is, that like that's an absurd take to not want this guy on your team. But I just think I said it all last year, and I'm going to start this year by saying it again. It's run its course. Everybody needs to move on. Everybody needs to go their own way, and that's what's best.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to get into the quotes? Do you want me to give my take? Like, because I'm going to give an all-encompassing take here of just like how I feel about him being gone. Do you want to
go ahead? The floor is yours.
Okay, so first of all, this is a tricky situation on deciding how you feel about this guy leaving. And through talking with people throughout the summer, every person who watches this team on a nightly basis is pretty okay with seeing the next era of the Toronto Maple Leafs this season. And all the guys who watch hockey through a fantasy lens and play fantasy hockey, they don't get it. They're like, this is stupid. Who cares about the other stuff? You're getting rid of this guy. And I can see both sides. I totally get it. But if you're not excited to see what a post Mitch Marner Austin Matthews looks like you're crazy. You're crazy to me. And you watch that interview and the stuff about the security, and I just don't think I'm at a high enough level to really like make a comment about that.
So just if I could just interject. Obviously,
you see,
giving out the guy's address, if that did in fact happen, is psychotic behavior.
Yeah.
And no one condones that. But that is an outlier. Like that is one psycho being a psycho. Okay. For him to sit with Mark Masters and paint the entire fan base with that brush, which he did, is what has everybody so upset.
Yeah.
No one is disagreeing with handing out the guy's address. I don't know what forum it was on, where it was shared. I don't know. But no one is saying that that's appropriate. It's not. It's psychotic, and that person belongs in jail. But the issue is the complications in the relationship between Mitch Marner and the fan base. That's not what it's about. He desperately wants to change the narrative into he fled Toronto fearing for his safety. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, it was just it's a hard situation because you don't that's a serious allegation, and it's hard to just really paint someone out to be a complete liar. Like I have a tough time doing that. But then Steve Simmons comes out and says the Leafs looked into it, and then you're kind of like, this is just leaning into me disliking this guy even more than I did before. So this whole private security situation is just it's too much for me. I'm not at a high enough level for this. But there's just something about this guy, and I don't know him personally, but through the media, through watching him play, through all the Amazon docs, through all the stuff that's covered the team, there's just something about this guy that is just unbelievably unlikable. Like just everyone just dislikes this guy equally, and it's for a multitude of reasons. For watching all those things, you hear all the rumors about his parents and all that stuff, his agent, and going into the office, like just pain. Like this guy is just. I've never seen a guy just become so unlikable through a tenure here while being also such a successful player. So for all those people who are sad he's gone and they're going to miss him, I get the production, but if you're not in the camp of just like, let's move on, then you're a casual. You're a casual fan.
I think what has happened here is the things that you're describing that make him unlikable. The first thing is arrogance. He comes off extremely arrogant. Extremely arrogant.
He comes off immature. Like to me,
Yes.
it's just like he's just like, I know he's a 97 and that's kind of like the cusp of a millennial and a Gen Z, but this kid is as Gen Z as it gets.
Yes.
With his gritties, with his music tastes, with just the little locker room. You see them having fun in the locker room. You see the way he's behaving. It's like, I know exactly who this kid is. And he's annoying. He's very annoying.
Yes. Yes. Arrogance, immaturity, lack of self-awareness. We point to him never really taking accountability pretty much ever. And the worst, the undisputed worst professional athlete at handling the media I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's unbelievable, really.
And I think what has upset people is he used that one outlier situation to paint an entire fan base by saying we feared for our safety. Okay. The relationship between Mitch Marner and the fans became contentious in 2019 when he held out for his first contract extension and all the things that came out about it. And then when he got paid, he never showed up ever in a game that truly mattered in the postseason. Ever.
Yeah.
Point to me one game post signing that contract. The best Mitch Marner playoff performance came before that contract in the first series against the Boston Bruins, Game 3 specifically, which you and I were in the building for and witnessed with our own eyes.
I remember that.
So post signing that contract, Mitch Marner was an all-world regular season performer. He never showed up in the playoffs. Not only did he not show up in the playoffs, he never took accountability for showing up in the playoffs, and his post-game quotes after pretty much every one of those games were awful.
Yeah.
And that is what soured the relationship with the fans. If I've said it once, I've said it 100 times, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more later today when we talk about the Blue Jays and being a fan of Toronto sports teams. All this town wants is for you to play hard. You do not have to win a championship to be put on Legends Row. You don't. You need to love being a Maple Leaf, and you need to play hard when it matters most, win or lose. And Mitch Marner didn't do that. And he demanded all the money.
Yeah.
And all the stink that his camp made about Auston Matthews and the comparison to Auston Matthews, who apparently is his boy and he loves so much, but behind the scenes, it was all crying about what's fair with respect to him versus Matthews. And to bring this full circle, when you've got a guy who has a camp around him like he does, who conducts himself the way he does as far as contracts and whatever, I don't want that guy in the dressing room, and I don't want him in the organization. And to look at it from his perspective as well, he needs to move on too. Like, the dude clearly, when you play in a market with this much of a spotlight on you, some guys can handle it and some guys can't, and he clearly can't. Like, he clearly is not someone that wants to do that. He's going to be a guy that is going to thrive in a U.S. market that the fans don't really care. Like, Vegas is a good hockey town, but that's because the team wins and the organization is super cutthroat. But are the fans going to be as enthralled with Mitch Marner and follow his career and personal life as intensely as that happened here? No, they're not. So some guys can handle it, some guys can't. And it's in his best interest. If you're a Mitch Marner fan, you should be advocating for this change as well. The guy clearly needs it.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know. It's such a web. I don't necessarily blame him for the holdout of the contract. I think that blame goes on the guy in Pittsburgh, in my opinion. He created that mess. But it's just lack of playoff success. And he was the worst one at all of them. I know Auston Matthews hasn't performed either, but if you were just to rank the performances, I'd put him last.
Yes.
The no accountability, which other guys are guilty of as well. But I think just the fact that he is just so unlikable from the outside is just what just was the cherry on top. And it's just, and him and Matthews just being so tied together. And Matthews, like, I know the guys have an incredible career. I don't want to I thought about this earlier. I was going to say something about his career, and it's like, no, just step back for a second. The guy's has had an incredible career. He's on his way to having an unbelievable career. But you can't, if you watch the team and you listen to the rumors, you can't deny that these two are just so intertwined together. And Auston Matthews didn't have a very good year last year. No. And his attitude, you're afraid that his attitude is being affected by Mitch Marner's attitude and the general attitude of the team as well. So just getting those two away from each other. And it's like, no, Austin, you're the top dog here. You're supposed to lead the way. You don't need some guy holding your hand through it. Sidney Crosby's never had a superstar holding his hand. I know he's had Malkin on his team the whole time, but he always picked up Chris Kunitz, a bunch of other scrubs, and made them into Olympic hockey players. Like, that's what you need to do. You need to be the ultimate leader of this team. The buck stops with you. And with Marner being there, it just clouded all that. It just became, it was clicky. It seemed clicky. The rumors were clicky. It just,
there was rumors forever that those two guys were adamant that they played together.
Which, if you've played on a sports team, not everyone hangs out together. There are cliques. You, like, after the game, you don't go to dinner with all 30 guys. Usually you have a group of dudes you chill with, and other guys have groups of dudes they chill with. But there is a point where that does get a little too far, and I don't know if it has, but on the outside it looks like it has, or it did.
100%.
So,
100%.
Like,
and this is, I wanted to transition because, the summer has been all about the Blue Jays. And if you look at the way the Blue Jays have performed and you look at the way that the Toronto sports fans have connected with them, you look at the quotes that have been coming out of the Blue Jays players about wanting to win and how great it is to play here and how appreciative they are of the fans. And you go down to the Rogers Center every night, dude. It's jam-packed.
Yeah.
And this is a team that, at the end of the day, whether they win the World Series or not, will go down as one of the most beloved Toronto sports teams in a long time because of how hard they play. They're never out of it, and that's all this market asks for. And so I thought, we talked a lot, and other shows have talked a lot about this narrative around these players that is like, oh, it's so hard to play here. Oh, we're carrying the burden of 1967. Oh, We have to protect these guys. And quite honestly, I thought Mitch Marner and his camp were huge perpetuators of that. Like, they were the ones who truly bought into that and believed that. I'm not saying they were the only ones.
Yeah, exactly. They weren't the only ones, but if we could just remove one, then that's a win. That's a win.
That is a win, because that is something that needs to change. It is an honor and a privilege to put that sweater on every night. And when you go out and you play the way you played in games 5 and 7 last year, that's what makes people angry. People aren't angry that people are upset and frustrated and whatever that you lost to Florida, and it's a huge bummer. But what makes people furious is the lack of effort. And then compounding that lack of effort with sulking and crying after the fact about how hard it is to play here.
Yeah.
Like, look no further than the packed Rogers Center every single night with these fans who are just wholeheartedly, fully bought into a team that works their ass off night in and night out.
Yeah. And I do think, I mean, I don't think it's the best direct comparison, because I think the market of baseball fans and hockey fans are different. I think the baseball fans here are a little less educated than the hockey fans, and thus a little easier. But you just look at the style the Blue Jays are playing and the quotes coming out of the media. That's where they've gone right, because there was a couple of years ago where they weren't very likable. You had the boys at the end of the dugout. You traded all of them. Bit of an overcorrection, but that team was borderline unlikable to a lot of people. But you just look at the way that these guys, they're a bunch of scrubs who were nothing, and all of them just come together and they have the right attitude. They add the right veterans to have the right voice in the room, and now the place is packed and they're in a pennant race. Whether they win it or not is one thing, but it's going to be a memorable season because these guys have worked their asses off.
100%. And that, to me, has eradicated this when it's so hard to play here crap.
Yeah,
that needs to
get
be
out of here.
That has to be removed in all facets from this organization. Full stop.
Yeah,
Full stop.
And I never want to speak about Mitch Marner ever again.
No, that's another thing. Great. Like, I really hope that after this whole Masters interview blows over, we can move on, because I don't want to talk about this guy anymore.
Yeah, he's gonna get his 90 points. He's gonna look amazing in that uniform. He's around a lot of good players. It's going to be hard for some people to ignore the noise, but I don't expect that guy to go there and suck. He's going to go there and do what he does best. Get 90 to 100 points a year, win you a lot of games in the middle of the winter when no one gives a shit, and good luck. Have fun.
Game on. Week 1 starts now, and every touchdown brings you closer to a payout with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL.
This isn't just football, it's first touchdown fireworks, anytime TD rushes, and live bets that ride every momentum shift. At DraftKings, every play is your next shot to win. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, grab over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV.
Your season starts now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first bet of $5 or more. Plus, over $200 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. NFL Sunday Ticket offer for new subscribers only and auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional NFL Sunday Ticket terms at youtube.com/go/NFL Sunday Ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
I wanted to take a look at the early line combination projections for the Leafs on Daily Faceoff. First thing I think when I look at this, Ryan, no Nick Robertson.
No, and that's the least surprising.
Where the hell is that guy going to play?
I don't know. But when I see Calle Yarncroke on a roster, I don't really exactly feel like it's totally locked in.
I agree. And I think, so first and foremost, I really like what True Living has done with the bottom six. I think their bottom six is way more formidable now than it's been in previous years. I like the Nick Roy, your third line center, is great. Adding Dakota, removing Ryan Reeves, who, by the way, we haven't done an episode since that.
Mouth, man.
Yeah, removing Ryan Reeves, who was a nothing for this hockey team, and bringing in a Dakota Joshua who has more upside than Ryan Reeves in terms of playing in the modern game. I couldn't believe that when I read those quotes. I was like, buddy, you were brought here to do one job and you didn't do it. And Berube is, we all saw what Craig Berube was like as a hockey player. So if he's not playing you, he doesn't think you're bringing anything to the table. And for you to cry on your way out about it is ridiculous. Another guy, I get what they were doing.
I was down. Here. I was like, nice. So now you got an enforcer. I was all hyped up about it, but then he fought like 3 times the first year, and that was
didn't fight at all last year.
Didn't fight at all last year. Yeah, he had the Jack Eye fight. He fought Foligno. He fought Rempe, and other than that, I don't really remember any other fight he had.
Yeah. What? How are you feeling about Max Domi on the second line wing? I think that's going to be something that's fluid, and I think you could see a situation where he's on the right side with Matthews and Nyes as well. And we're going to have to get a look at Matthias Michelli in camp. They're slotting him into the top 6 because they quite frankly don't have any other options. You could look at Nick. That's where you love a Nick Robertson to slot in there.
Here's the Nick Robertson problem. So basically, they've taken all their cap space they got from Marner, and they made a third line out of it. They distributed that money to make a solid third line. That's great. The fourth line with Lawton or Lorentz, they're stuck there. They're going to be there all year. And then you have that other spot. But Nick Robertson, we know, is not a fourth liner for the 800th time. And he's not good enough to be on the top 6. So that's your Nick Robertson problem. That's his problem since he's been a Maple Leaf. Where do you slot him in? You better hope someone shits the bed, or there's injuries, or he has good depth to have. There's no doubt about it. Having a guy who you can plug in for an injury or for another guy who has the ability to rip one home at any time is a valuable asset. But I'm sure the guy is not stoked to be out of the projected lineup, even though these are just projections. But
him and David Kampf are sitting here on the outside looking in.
Well, come on. I'm not even going to factor in David Kampf.
Well, we knew that. We learned last year that David Kampf is not. Craig Berube is not much of a David Kampf guy.
No, they got a good. They're good down the middle. They're good down the middle. But Lawton. But a lot of people say Lawton's a winger, so maybe Lawton moves over to Yarncroke's side, and Kampf slots in there. So.
Could you not give Scotty Lawton a look up with Tavares and Nylander? I was asking for that a few times last year. Let's give him a look up there, but he can go in and get a puck.
Well, this is the problem with saying you're never speaking about Mitch Marner ever again. Is all those things we just laid out. It's going to sound kind of hypocritical, but all those things we just laid out of see you later, goodbye. But when he's gone, it's now you're really relying on Matthias Michelli and Max Domi to provide 50-point seasons at least. And Max Domi for the past 2 seasons hasn't scored a goal till halfway through the season. So it's with him leaving, they do need another top 6 forward. That's not that. I don't think that guy's coming anytime soon. But you better hope that both these guys provide 50-point seasons for you and score 20 goals each, because if they don't, then I don't know. Matthews will have a better year than he did last year. Who knows how much Nyes will improve offensively. But there is a bit of a hole in that top 6. There's no 2 ways about it. But it doesn't mean these guys can't show up and do something. And we're not expecting Marner production, but we need both these guys to stay healthy, and we need 50 points out of them at least.
Defense pairings pretty much the same as last year. I would like to see an improvement this year from Morgan Riley. There was scuttlebutt online that they asked him to waive his no move. Nobody ever confirmed that, but let's just say for argument's sake that they did, and he turned them down. It's okay, well, if you don't, you need to be way better than you were last year, dude. It's that simple.
Yeah, I just don't know what his game is anymore. Does he, again, we talked about this with Tavares and a couple other guys last year. It's do you look at kind of changing your game to another style? I know the contract's the contract at this point. This is what a hard cap era is all about. It's you're always going to be compared to your contract, but at the same time, I need the most out of you in the way that you could give the most to this team. So maybe you're not that 50 to 70 point guy anymore who wheels around. Maybe you got to focus on something else. I don't know, but or you can improve. I know he was a new dad last year, and you being a new dad, that can't be easy. So it's tough. Like, so
sleep is at a premium in this house.
And I don't care if you're making $7.5 million a year, you're still a parent. Like, I know that's not an excuse, but you just hope that maybe he can bounce back this year and have a better year offensively and be stronger defensively as well.
Yeah. And then the key to the season, Stolarz and Wall.
Yeah, that's what I'm laying. That's what I'm most confident in. It's like, if this is why, if you're looking at this team and you think they're going to take a downturn, I say no, because you arguably have the two best like solid goalie tandem in the league. Just two guys you can plug in who could be number one starters in this league on any team.
And the reason why I'm not buying into them being a wild card team, I think that they will finish second or third in the division, and I think Stolarz and Wall, if they can stay healthy, will be the reason why.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to end on some expectations that we should be level setting ahead of training camp and ahead of the season. First one, Easton Cowan. Okay, Easton Cowan. Yes, we want to see him in camp. We want him to be noticeable in camp, 100%. However, the best place for Easton Cowan is in the American Hockey League with the Toronto Marlies, period. Unless he comes in and is out of his mind.
If I see a guy who looks like he's ready and the coaching staff looks like he's ready, I'm throwing him. I don't care.
100%. But if he even looks just okay, he's got to go to the Marlies. Like, he's finally old enough where they're not going to burn a year off his contract, sending him to the Marlies. Let him go to the Marlies. Let him play. And I'm not saying he'll be there all year, but I'm saying odds of him starting the season in the American Hockey League are pretty high, and I think that's where he belongs unless he shows up in camp and looks out of his mind. Second thing I want to set expectations for. We just went through the daily face-off of the top six. They very clearly are missing a top six winger. I do not think that for living making a move for a guy is happening anytime soon. I think what you are seeing is what you are getting for the bulk of the season. Who the hell knows what's going to happen at the deadline? Yeah. But realistically, adding to that top six group probably won't happen until next offseason.
When it's money in, money out at this point. I think they have around $2 million in cap space. And at that point, to get anybody, it's just you gotta give something up. But I just don't think they're in a position to give anything up right now. Especially, like, obviously, there's a lot of guys they'd be like, take them. But all the guys,
what did you just say? What did you just say?
What? Obviously.
Obviously.
I mean, take Max Domi and replace him with somebody else. That's great, but that's just not happening. So yeah, I agree. One thing I will say that we didn't mention, I'm very, very interested in what the power play is going to look like minus Mitch Marner, because Mitch Marner actually always drove me a little bit batty on the power play, because it's like, are you passing the puck? Are you shooting the puck? The slap pass. I know the results were good year after year, so there's really not much to complain about in the larger sense, but just for my eye, I would like to see what their new plan is. Like, to me, I'm just loading up Nylander just endlessly for one-timers on that power play.
I know it sounds like I am constantly giving Morgan Rielly grief, but I would start Oliver Ekman-Larsson on PP1, because what me and a million other people have said about Rielly forever is the guy is just not a shooting threat. He's just not. No one is afraid of Morgan Rielly shooting the puck, and that's a huge problem. And I'm not saying Oliver Ekman-Larsson is all world, but he's more of a threat on the power play than Morgan Rielly.
It's going to be a rotating door. The power play always is for that extra spot. It's going to be a rotating door. Who knows? That's another thing this team's missing that they'll never be able to replace. They're missing the number one defenseman too. They have their D-core is veteran. It's solid. It was good last year, but I mean, if I had to create this team and I had a magic lamp, I would bring in another top six forward and I would try to find a defenseman who's a threat offensively.
Yes.
But that's not happening. So,
some news today, Ryan, out of Maple Leaf camp. Dennis Hildeby gets a 3-year contract extension, adding to the goalie depth. He's number 3 on the depth chart, it appears.
Yeah, I mean, looking over their team, like I am kind of happy that the only guy who's going to be up after this year, who's of consequence, is Bobby McMahon. Other than that, it's nice to just like have a break of expiring contracts.
Yes.
Like I don't want to hear like all the big guys.
Buddy,
like
there's going to be tons of contract talk across the league, and one contract in particular in Edmonton that is going to dominate.
That contract is already signed, man. Like I don't that guy. I give it a 1% chance he doesn't sign there. 1%.
Yeah, I think he's signing. I don't think he's signing 8 years. But I think that's he's signing.
Stupid. Yeah, Austin Matthews changed the game for people. As annoying that is for like a fan base being like, great, now we're gonna re-up this guy, and there's always the chance of him leaving. I mean, if you're a superstar like that, signing 8 years, unless you're an extremely loyal dude, really makes no sense, especially when you're the best player in the league by a mile.
Yes.
So,
all right, buddy. First episode back. Like I said off the top, we will be here once a week until training camp opens. And then when that happens, we will be back to our usual twice a week schedule. If you haven't done it already, hit the like and subscribe button below. Follow us on our socials. Links to both Instagram and TikTok are below.
Spread the word, tell your friends. I'm rusty.
You're rusty.
Yeah, I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, we will see you guys next week.